Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone and the Honorable Mrs. Meti Agustin as our lecturer in this course. We are from Group 4. So my name is Zahra Dwi Anggraini as the moderator and the NPA is 2021222147. And here is the member. We would like to present about who are we assessing. Without any further ado, let's move to the first speaker.
Hello everyone, now I will explain about why is this important. This is important because assessment tools that teacher use in the classroom can help the teacher to better understand students' needs and capabilities. Like Fox and Chang said that when we recognize the unique and varied cognitive, cultural, educational, and emotional differences of our students, we are in a far better position to address gaps in their knowledge, skill, and understandings and develop their strengths in learning. We examine the assessment rules in relation to a chronology that often applies in our use of classroom assessment. Although placement tests, needs analysis, and diagnostic assessment may be used at any point in a course, we often apply these tools at the beginning of a new course to shape the content and learning outcomes of our courses.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Rizkani Fitriana Madanti. My student's number is 2021222142. In this section, I will explain one of the three main assessment strategies that to get to know the students better. That is assessment for placement. So, what is assessment for placement? Assessment for placement used to place students into a course level or academic program. So, the assessment of placement aimed at knowing prerequisite skills required for a learning program and mastery of learning as program before starting learning activities for that program. And the purpose of the assessment for placement is for placing students at levels of pre-existing program in those programs with a defined structure and progression. In some contexts, they are used for a grouping students based on shared characteristics like levels of proficiency, background, interests, goals, and needs. For example, in less structured programs which define classes and levels of abstraction that's on whoever involves. A placement test is an evaluable benefit contributing to the student's academic success. First, gives students a reliable, standardized measurement of their language skills. And the second, as it is based on the CAFR, it is an accurate professional reflection of classroom expectations. Thus, the students can effectively replace it productively in between. And the last, the placement test is in a sense a truncated certificate of proficiency test using the same measurement system and the same methodology. Next is placement test. Placement tests occur in both higher stake and lower stake settings. The Bachman and Palmer example is particularly helpful for two reasons. It illustrates the usefulness of specification-driven placement testing, and it provides excellent detail regarding task development. And Gottlieb 2006 provides a decision tree for the identification and placement of English language learners (ELLs) in schools which uses multiple instruments as part of placement assessment process. In some contexts, self-assessment may be used as the primary tools in placement, particularly but not exclusively with the language learner in low-text contexts. And the instruments used in this assessment for placement include one home language survey, which elicits usable information about entering students' linguistic and educational backgrounds. Second is language use survey, which elicits detailed information on the use of the target languages, additional language around the whole in the school or community, and external providence test. And the last is proficiency test, which is one form of external assessment of laboratories to ensure their ability to perform to the level of competence and quality required. In some contexts, self-assessment may be used as the primary assessment tool in the placement. Like for example, students may be asked to identify their comfort level with language use in particular situation by responding to the items. And in recent years, many language programs have developed can-do statement which translate the criteria that define different levels in their program into action that over-simulated mastery and progress from one level of a program to the next. Also, can-do statement may be a vehicle for self-assessment, teacher assessment, or both. For example, a benchmark criterion might state the students at this level can ask and answer simple questions and initiate and respond to the statement about familiar topic. It is very useful learning opportunity for our students because it helps them to understand in real terms their relative capability, to improve their skills in judging their own language development, and to set realistic goals for the future. Thank you, that's all from me. And the next material will be presented by the next presenter. Thank you.
Alright, thank you for moderators. My name is Zena Ali. My student's number 2021 221 39. Here I want to explain about need analysis. As Azarnas et al. 2016 say, the environment, the needs of the students, and the principles of language learning are factors that influence what happens in the classroom. What is the main purpose? So, the main purpose of need analysis or need assessment is to elicit information about individuals in our classes or program in order to help us designing materials for achieve objective learning. With knowing more about our students, it will help us to identify the activities and experiences that have the greatest potential for supporting their learning. Then, is that actually helpful? Yes. We may also consider need analysis as an analytical, which means that will help us to define next steps. As such, the purpose of the need analysis will be to elicit specific information about students' current levels in order to establish what we should do next. Our goal is to encourage development, and from this perspective, development is the best way to achieve when we have a more precise understanding of what the students need to the learning, so that we can map out the incremental activities to support development their skills. Later, we may view need analysis as a diagnostic process which identifies what is missing in a student's learning that because students can learning objective. Thank you. I will give back again to the moderator.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Nita Rusmiati with MVM 2021222154. Here I will explain about the other purposes. Before that, the basic purposes of needs analysis or needs assessment is to gather information about individuals in our classes or programs so that we can make better course design decisions. And this is the other purposes according to Brown 1995, Grubbs 2000, that is because effective need assessment is such as a strong foundation for successful practice in our language classroom. The literature on language teaching and assessment is focusing attention on it. And here are the purposes of need analysis. There are 5. Firstly is find out what language skill that students need to perform a particular role. With this, we know what the language skill needs of the students are. And then the second is help determine if an existing course adequately addresses the needs of potential students. We can also know the course given is appropriate or not for students. And then the third is identify a gap between what students are able to do and what they need to be able to do. Yes, this is another purpose that is also to know what to do when learning in the class between students and the teacher. And the fourth is collect information about particular problems students are experiencing. This it also proposes to find out some of the problems that exist in students. Yes, the student have the problem, so that we must know what the problem of that students. And the last is the purpose last from need analysis is ascertain the students level of cognitive development and acquisition of academic skill in their native language. So this also proposes to find out how the cognitive development of students. Okay, maybe that's some other purposes of need analysis that I can explain. Thank you, and I'm sorry if there are mistakes.
In this slide, I will explain about diagnostic assessment. Diagnostic assessment is fully specified to test for specific capabilities related to target or intent competencies, skills, or abilities. Here's we are have for diagnostic assessment. The first one is diagnostic assessment in the classroom. We have two examples. The first one is in conversation class. A diagnostic assessment can be used to get at the micro-level issues that interfere with an individual student's comprehensibility when speaking a new language. So, with this assessment, we can identify individual abilities and weaknesses, and then offer specific training for individual needs. However, in conversational classes for students with background and abilities in many different languages, the problem in speaking the target language will be equally diverse. This problem can be solved. The first step in diagnosing is what is interfering with communication. The next step is to provide individual activities to manage them. And then example number 2 in English for academic purpose. Class for this class diagnostic assessment can be used to drill down the individual student's strengths and weaknesses in academic English by using the information teacher gathers from the diagnostic. It can be used to explore each student's strengths and weaknesses in the academic English by using information the teacher collects from several assignments and questions to measure each student's level of understanding, skills, strengths, and weaknesses in academic English. And then B, diagnostic assessment across a program. In some instances, diagnostic assessment may be used for all the students in a program. One of the teacher use the diagnostic information to set up group of students with similar language profiles and use individual learning portfolio to document change. In this case, is it used for all students in the program one intensive activity for the group, which is targeted at weaknesses in competencies, knowledge, and skills that have been identified based on the assessment. And learning portfolios are allowed to collect ongoing evidence of students' learning and development.
Diagnostic assessment across a program. In some instances, diagnostic assessment may be used for all the students in a program. Like this, an example is provided by Fox 2009 in a context where the traditional placement assessment was replaced by external proficiency tests which were unrelated to the program's EAP curriculum. Although students' placement in the program was dictated by the external proficiency test scores, teachers within the EAP program were provided with post-entry diagnostic information about each of their students through the administration of diagnostic tests of all the students in the program. In some instances, diagnostic assessment may be used for first, like before, all the students in the program want the EAP. In here, teachers use the diagnostic information to set up groups of students with similar language profiles and use individual learning portfolios to document change. Second, identify intensive activities for groups. Fox identified intensive activities for the groups which targeted weaknesses in competencies, knowledge, and skills that had been identified through the diagnostic. In here, the learning portfolios allowed for the collection of ongoing evidence of her students' learning and developments. Thank you very much.
The C is diagnostic assessment across a system. The use of diagnostic assessment early in a student's academic career in order to identify areas of risk, which might lead to failure or impede academic success, and to identify specific learning options to address these areas of risk. These diagnostics used to identify areas of risk which may lead to failure of academic success, and to identify specific learning options. So for the conclude from diagnostics assessment is diagnostic assessment procedure is fully defined to test specific abilities related to the target or intended competence, skill, or ability. Furthermore, the information provided by diagnostic tests should trigger specific pedagogical interventions designed to address individual weaknesses and strengths through class activities. In other words, a diagnostic assessment is not strictly diagnostic unless it leads directly to teaching that responds to a particular language or individual learning profile. That's all from me. I will give it back to Bandaracha. Thank you.
It's the end of our presentation. We would like to apologize if we have a mistake. So if you have a question to us, please ask. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.